What up, my dude? Ski Douglas Varcasia. Don't really know how to say your last name, but either way, I appreciate that membership, big dog. We'll be getting back to those members-only videos. Sorry for the slight little hiccup in that. Been doing so much shit this past couple weeks, I can't even explain it, but we gonna be getting fiber internet at the cribbo, bro. We're about to be popping off. Either way, we got the 2007 Orlando custom track on Reflex. This is made by the NWG dude. Same dude's made all these other retro replica tracks, right? Thought it'd be cool to come in here and check out one of these that are kind of like not a super old track, but also not a new track either. Kind of in that interesting in-between sort of vibe, right? I was really curious to see kind of how this dude made the track itself to give it that 2007 sort of feel to it. And damn, dude, he really has made it like different than his 1996 track, but also this is not really like his newest like 2019 style tracks in the game either. It's like that nice little in-between balance. Isn't it weird how you can kind of... This would have been also like back in the James Stewart heyday as well. He's got a big billboard over there. James Stewart billboard. So that's cool to kind of see the change from kind of going from the McGrath billboards more to the James Stewart style billboards. Love to see it, bro. He's got a big billboard over there. It's showing James Stewart passing Ricky Carmichael, right? This would have been Carmichael's last year, and he didn't even race all of the Supercross races, just select few, I'm pretty sure, right, in 2007. Bro, that was a cold minute ago at this point. Damn. That is, 2007 kind of feels like it was yesterday to me, but nowadays it's like, that was a long-ass time ago. Shit's crazy how fast time flies, bro. She flies, bro. But yeah, that was my biggest thing when I first saw all these different years of replica tracks. This NWG dude, he's made 1980s style tracks, 90s style tracks, early 2000s style tracks, and then newer like 2019 style tracks. So I was really curious to see how he would make each one of those, different decades of Supercross replica tracks actually feel different on Reflex. And man, he's just done a really good job of that. And I would say that's the most important part to it. What's the point in making replica tracks if you're not going to make them feel different or unique in some kind of a way than the standard like newer built Supercross tracks in the game? You got to do something, and I feel like he really did a good job. I'm sliding in that corner. My Dunlops are not quite hooking up today, boys. I don't know what the fuck. He really, like on this track right here, it's going to be tough for me to even explain what makes this track feel like a very unique like 2007 style track. The only way I know how to really explain it is it's like, first of all, this feels a little on the wider side in some it's like he's playing around with the width of the track, and the triple faces are not super peaked out, but they're really unique in the character of the actual jump face itself. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's kind of more like a dry, like really beat down, but it's not super rolled off either, but it's not super peaked either. It's like an interesting in-between. But I remember back in a lot of the Supercross days, like pre-2010, they had a lot of tracks where the tracks would get really dry, kind of like what this looks like right here. All the Vegas races they had, and just, it seemed like they didn't quite prep the tracks as much back in, like, certainly like pre-2014, It didn't seem like they really prepped the tracks as much, so you had a lot more of those tracks that kind of got that dry, blue groovy, I love saying blue groovy, Doug. It's groovy out here, baby. It's blue groovy out here, baby. Oh, man. Ooh, there's a nice little deformed rut getting formed in that corner. But you know what I'm saying, though? Like, nowadays, it's almost like every track is like a perfectly prepped, perfectly dug, perfectly watered. You don't see a lot of the same differences between, like, having dry, hard-packed. You just don't see as much of that nowadays as you did back in the, Stewart and Carmichael era. And I feel like this track definitely sort of captures that sort of vibe. Like roached out, end of a practice day on a sunny, hot day when the track doesn't really get watered, that sort of vibe. It's definitely got that kind of feeling to it, and it really, I feel like, separates this track from a lot of the other ones that this dude made, which I think really plays into everything. Let's take a lap, and plus the skybox. Look at that awesome-ass sunset. That's another element that really separates this track. That's what's cool about these NWG replica tracks, is that he really played around with a lot of different, like, skybox options, stadium options, dirt colors, and just the way he designed a bunch of these different tracks. Man, that triple's fatty in first person, dude. Holy shit, dude. Nice little, like, barely 2 or 3 little pre-made ruts coming out of that corner. These whoops feel like they're fucking humongous in first person. What this first person mod does on Reflex is it actually, I think it raises your field of view. So in a way, the specific way that this raises up your field of view, in a way, it makes all these jumps feel like they're so much longer than they are in the standard third person in this game. But still pretty cool, though. I prefer this first person over the damn default first person, which is damn near, like, impossible to ride with on Reflex. But yeah, you can see, like, how cool that is. These little areas where the dirt kind of gets that really light coloration. You see the difference? Like, over here to the left, it's like a darker, and then to the right, it's like a drier, lighter color of dirt. And you can see that on some of the jump faces, like on the main Supercross triple jump face, the finish line jump face really gets that sort of dried blue groove type, not only feel, but also the look of it. It's kind of everything that gives it that sort of feel like that. Even coming off of that little jump right there, it's got that spot on it too. But, bro, and these whoops are not playing around either. I mean, these feel like some really hard, impacty, dry, roached out, Chad Reed would haul ass on it type, dryness to a track. I really wish I know this may sound kind of backwards and shit, but, the whipping in this camera mod's interesting. I really wish they would do more of that in real life Supercross. Like, don't prep the track so fucking much on every single round. I mean, I know that's kind of the goal, is to get, as good prepped of a track as you possibly can, but I liked back in the days and where it felt like, you never really knew what you was gonna get. You might get a full-blown mudder, you might get a dry, roached out, blue groove, completely, like a totally practice day in the summertime kind of track in the main event. You could get a good prepped out, normal rutted out track in the main event. I feel like back like pre-2014, especially back in like the Stewart Carmichael days, it really tested the riders in a way, because you had to be able to ride on dry slick and dry blue grooved. You had to be able to ride in the mud. You had to be able to ride on all these different kind of conditions, whereas nowadays it's almost more like every track is so much more homogenized and so much more, perfectly watered and prepped and like as in the middle kind of dirt that you could possibly have. Seems like we don't have a lot of full-blown mudders anymore. We don't have a lot of full-blown dry tracks anymore. There was one of them this year that kind of got like that a little bit, but I liked back in the days when the shit got extreme. You know what I mean? It was like, the Vegas dry style track was totally different than like a like a Seattle soft, ruddy, and that shit was totally different than like a Anaheim 1 mutter, and that shit was totally different than like a, you know, like an Atlanta style red clay. I just feel like we had a lot more differences within the dirt compounds and the different kinds of dirt you would have to be able to ride on to win the Supercross championship. I felt like it really tested the riders a lot more. Even though they were trying to prep as good as they could back then, for some reason some of the tracks didn't end up being as prepped in the main event. And when I mean prepped, I mean like the dirt's not too dry or too wet. You know, I don't just mean like, I mean, obviously the tracks get really fucked up nowadays as far as like ruddiness and shit like that, but you don't get a whole lot of variation between like the track actually being a lot more dry, slick, or like muddy, you know. And I don't know. I mean, that's just my own personal thing with that. I feel like if they eased back a little bit on trying to make the track so perfectly like dirt every single Supercross round, I feel like we would get a more varied kind of viewing experience, and the riders would get tested in more varied kind of ways. And you guys know how different it is trying to go fast on a super dry, slick track, blue groove track than it is trying to go fast on a normal dirt track. It's a totally different animal. It's a totally different world. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, gameplay camera. There you go, Spency boy. And then that's totally different from being able to try to go really fast in super slick, swampy-ass mud on a track, you know? It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's not quite, it's testing the riders nowadays when it comes to the, you know, how like cupped out the whoops get and the ruts in the corners and the ruts on the jump phases and the transitions. It's certainly testing them in that sort of a sense nowadays, but as far as just like straight up testing them with different types of dirt, as far as like how dry or wet the dirt is, I don't think it's testing the riders as much nowadays in that particular aspect of it, with how much effort they put into trying to make the track perfect dirt. You know what I mean? So anyways, this was still kind of back in that sort of a heyday. But yeah, dude, this track right here is awesome. Just another really good, just that 2007 vibe, you know? He was able to really capture that. He didn't make the ruts too big, pre-made ruts too big. He made the triple jump phase and the finish line jump kind of unique and different than any of the other tracks I've rode on. The sunset off in the distance is just perfect. I don't know why I could never hit this rhythm right here very good, but yeah, the rhythm sections are not quite as complex. They're a little bit smaller on this track, which is okay. I mean, he's trying to kind of give it a cool, different sort of feel to it, so I'm not hating on it. But yeah, just that slight little bit of choppy pre-made, not a whole lot, but there is a little bit, the slight little bit of pre-made dug down ruts coming out of some of these corners. I feel like if you really terrain deformed it, you could get it going pretty good. Bro, I gotta hit that rhythm better. Hang on, hold the phone. Let me hit this rhythm real quick. Hell, it feels kind of slick when you're coming out of that corner right there. It's interesting. I've got to really think about what I'm doing right there. Yeah, it's got the amped mobile off to the side. Yeah, that's cool. Makita Suzuki. Ah, shit, bro. Just take me back, bro. That was a cool ass era in Supercross, right when it was the Stewart versus Carmichael. Man, I don't know if you can ever beat that. I really don't. Like 2005, 6, 7. Shee. Them was some hot years, boy, for Supercross and motocross. I mean, it was really both. I thought I was going to be able to grind off of those tough blocks. Even still to this day, I like to go back and watch the 2006, Carmichael's last full Supercross series. I don't think you'll ever beat the 2006 Reed Stewart Carmichael shit. Like, I just don't think you'll ever beat it. You can double in here pretty good, but then it's like a double, triple. But hell, I think you can triple in this. What the fuck's my Doka Motors sake doing, dude? My Doka Motors had a little too much sake, if you know what I'm saying. Holy shit. Hold on. Bro, this track definitely does have a little bit of a different feeling to the dirt than some of those other ones. I don't know why I'm sliding so much, but it's cool though. It kind of fits the dry blue groove type you know, style to the way the track is built. Bro, whoa. I mean, these jumps are, it's like you really got to try your best to get the lift off on these jump faces, because if you don't, you're just not going to get high enough off of the ground to get up over these jumps. Man, these whoops are big daddy too. That's one thing about these NWG tracks. These are not made like super basic or super easy. You know, they've got some skill gap to them. You kind of got to learn the style of the way he's made these particular tracks. All right, let's see if we can triple. Bro, I can't triple in that shit. The jump faces the rhythm section jump ends are very, very short, which makes it tricky to get the pop off of them to hit the jump. But then like the finish line and the main Supercross triple, they're pretty long distance, but not really peaked out jump faces. So very cool, different vibe that this guy has actually created here. Okay, jump all the way over that, then jump to there, then jump to there. Okay, I don't know why that was so tough for me to do. What it is you got to get all the way over that first tabletop right there. Bro, it's so fun hitting those ruts. Okay, now we're getting through these whoops. It's so funny how, like, a big whoop section like that on Reflex, it's just, there's such a fine line between getting enough speed through it to where it's not going to slow you down any, and if you don't quite get that much speed on the entry, then you'll almost come to a stop at the end of the whoop section. It's interesting how it does that. Yeah, like, fuck, dude. I don't know if you can triple into that. It's like not enough speed to the distance and it kind of narrows up right there after that triple, so it makes it really tricky. But either way, dude, this track right here, bro, I really don't know how you can make this any more like a 2007 Reflex custom track. I'm giving this thing like a 9 overall. Difficulty is somewhere like medium, somewhere in that medium range. It's really not that tough as far as like you would pop off on these rhythm section jumps, but to be able to go really fast on this track, it's going to take you a few laps to kind of figure out some of these hot lines through the ruts coming out of the corners and through these whoops. Kind of some inside lines that you could take like this, like go inside here. And then, see, it's tricky right here to go. See how that narrows up? The track narrows up and then gets wide right here on the berm. So it's like hard to just carry all that speed off of that Supercross triple into that rhythm right there. Very tough to do that. And then you could probably cut this way up the inside too, but with these jump faces not being very peaked out, you really have to have the speed, the mile per hour, you know what I'm saying, to get over these jumps, because you can't really huck yourself out of a mistake, you know? You can't really seat bounce yourself out of a momentum mistake coming up to the jump face. You just have to have the momentum. You just have to have the mile per hour, or you're simply not going to make it over it, you know? Whereas when you get the more peaked out style jump faces, it's not so much a matter of speed that you need, it's more of how you're leaning on the bike and hucking the bike to get it up over a jump. This is more about just raw speed. It's not so much about, you don't really have to huck the bike on these jump faces, you don't really have to, and hucking the bike's not really going to make that much of a difference anyways, so it's kind of a totally different style of jumping, which is cool, and I feel like that sort of style perfectly fits that 2007 era. It just perfectly does in this game. So either way, man, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. I'll see you boys on that next one. Later, dudes.